Wow. What's going on, creative people? This is Creativity is an Idea podcast, a source of creativity for creative people. And I'm your host, Pyric. I'm very happy and I want you to stay tuned because it's going to be a banger. It's all about creative people sharing their ideas, their challenges, their setbacks, and changes that led to their growth. It's going to be amazing. And stay tuned and see what happens. Creative person like you. What's going on, creative people? This is Creativity is an Idea podcast, a source of creativity for creative people. And you know what? Before I tell you I am your host, Pyric, I think I already did. Anyway, the guest here is, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless. I found about her through a friend of mine called Carlos Robson, who is a poet. And he spoke very well about this lady. And I'm very pleased to have her here as a guest for you all. Her name is Jasiatic, or I'll say Jay, just to keep it simple on my accent. So she's known for so many things, but I believe if you are in Charlotte, you know that he's known for Su Casa and Wepa. Her name is Jasiatic, and she is an independent, creative, multi-genre artist, or how do I say it?
Multi-genre.
Multi-genre. Yeah, multi-genre. Bear with me. So, ladies and gentlemen, creative people, she's going to present to us what she has been through, the things she has done, and what she's up to, and the challenges she faced, and the progress she has seen so far, and she's still seeing. So, Jasiatic, oh Jay, the floor is yours. Tell me. Who are you?
I think you've introduced me quite well. One of the things that we talked about when I came in, you asked me what I do, and I summed it up by saying I do what I want to do. So my complete goal is to do things that I love to do and to share those things with other people, and hope to connect and have like an authentic connection around those things that so many of us love. So I'm a plant-based chef. I am a photographer artist. I am responsible for the idea of Su Casa. And yeah.
Yeah.
That's mostly what I do.
That's good. So I see you're traveling. You just came back from Spain, Barcelona to be specific. And I wish I knew you when you were young. You're like a teen or something. I don't know much about you. So tell us, how was your childhood like?
My childhood was, I don't know, a very, I guess, typical childhood. Or maybe it wasn't typical. I guess we all grow up thinking our childhoods are typical. But when I talk to people who knew me then, or when I look at writing, I feel like I've always been the same person that I am. I grew up in Charlotte. I grew up in Hidden Valley. And I grew up with my mother and my grandmother around my sister. So in a very matrilineal household. I definitely had a relationship with my father and saw him often. But definitely at the root of my upbringing were my maternal family members. And I remember my mother, so my mother is a Virgo, I'm a Virgo, my younger brother is a Virgo. And so it's not that horoscope tells you everything, but it's always been a very reflective process to have a mother that raised you as a Virgo and then to be a mother as a Virgo. So my mother was very strict about the things that she was strict about, but the things that she was free about, she was free about. And I noticed that same pattern in my parenting. So I grew up somewhat sheltered, but also in a neighborhood that allowed me a lot of friendship and also a lot of really interesting, wild experiences. So, like, I tell people, like, yeah, like, I've been shot at or around several times in my life.
Wow.
And so but at the same time I had a very like warm house that was free from a lot of trauma, which I'm grateful for now
Hmm.
as an adult.
That is excellent. You talked about wild experiences. So, Jay, tell me, what event wouldn't you forget, being bad or good?
I have so many. I don't even know what
Gee,
angle
okay.
to. And
Okay, give us two. Good or not really good.
so here's the thing. I have a very bad memory. Okay, so I have a picture standing beside Lauryn Hill that I cannot remember at all. I don't remember the concert. I don't remember meeting her. I don't remember taking the picture. And at that time, there was no digital photography. So I definitely don't remember how I have an 8 by 10 photo of her.
Uh-huh.
But there are other things and other concerts that I remember quite well. So my first concert as a child was Kiss, the rock band.
The rock band. Sorry to interrupt you. I had
No
to
problem.
rephrase this. Experience. I would say an experience, good or bad, you wouldn't forget.
Right. So I would say that that concert I never forgot.
Okay. I thought you. My bad. I got it twisted.
But you can,
Uh-huh.
I mean, feel free to direct me because I'm here, I'm open. So
Oh,
you tell me
sorry for
what
that.
type of experience you're talking
Oh,
about. I
good or
mean, we could
bad?
good
And
or
you said
bad.
something you never forget was the concert, which you would never forget. So carry on.
So I mean, so I was probably 4.
Mhm.
I just remember music very early on, like
Mhm.
different types of music, always being exposed to music.
Mhm.
But I feel like I've lived a very long, full life. So I could go in so many directions. So that's why I said direct me.
Got it. Okay. Give me an event or experience you've had which made you so emotional.
Anything?
Yes, anything. Emotional. You felt good. You felt bad. It doesn't matter. Just pick one.
I mean, I would have to say, as being a mother, probably childbirth. And so,
Mm.
particularly the birth of my last child, Sundiata,
Mhm.
which was third time's a charm. So by then, I felt to be a pro at. So he was born at home, and my other children were present and around and interactive and in the space the entire time. And it was just a very beautiful experience with all the emotions.
Mhm.
So that's why when you ask me,
Wow.
good, bad, childbirth is one of the most visceral experiences that you can go through. And so it's like one of the only times where nothing, it's pure spirit. Nothing matters what you're thinking, what you want to do, what you plan to do, how you want it to look. Everything goes out the window because your body takes over and does all the work, which is, there's something very powerful in that and just allowing.
Wow. I
It's like
wish
if
I
we
could
would
feel
just
that.
allow every day, if we would just allow.
Wow. I'm not a lady, so yeah. Yeah. That is. I believe a lot of people can resonate. Those who have given birth, they can resonate. But let me ask you, Jay. You are a talented person. You do a lot. So, when and how did you decide to do what you're doing now? When did you get the idea?
Um, so I try to create and build my life around doing exactly what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
around saying yes to all of my pleasure, all of my joy.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into college as an animal science major. I really wanted to be a veterinarian. Um, but I had some philosophical issues and things that came into play.
Mm-hmm.
And so I pretty abruptly changed my major to African studies
Mm-hmm.
and went to a school that offered African studies and majored in that because I wanted to. So I think around that age was when, probably around the age of 19, which is when a lot of shifts for me took place. So, um, like choosing to change my diet happened around that time.
Oh.
Choosing to not be in a sorority, even though I was already chosen, happened. My grandmother passing happened. My shift in my major happened. So around that time, a lot of things were happening for me. And one of the things that were happening is just my ability to choose based on exactly what I wanted to do. So like an independence, right? And an adulthood. Adulthood happens for different people at different times. I like to be respectful of that. Some 16-year-olds are adults,
Yeah.
and bill paying has not much to do with it, in my opinion. But a lot of shifts happen. And so around that time, I had, I was fortunate that I had a lot of really wonderful professors that, a major so broad as African studies. I mean, it's like you can't even wrap your head around, right?
Uh-huh.
So you take to what you take to. So there are lots of things, but I think at the source of everything that I do, there is that love and connection, with the diaspora and with blackness and with Africa. So in my food, most of my food, there is, if I'm doing anything, if I'm doing Venezuelan food, then it's Afro Venezuelan. If I'm always sourcing out those particular things. So I really just work to cultivate the things that I love. I love music and I love dancing. So that's how Su Casa came about.
That's how Su Casa came about.
Yeah, out of my own personal love and then cultivation.
Yeah. You give birth to it.
I'm
You
sorry.
gave birth to it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a baby too.
Yeah.
So many babies we have.
That's excellent. So Jay, tell me, you got the idea to start what you're doing now, Su Casa. So how or what did you? It got to a point you had to probably leave certain things behind, and there is this Newton's law, which I always paraphrase. It says, in order for you to go up, you have to let certain things down. So what did you have to leave behind for you to see progress?
Well, when I first started Su Casa, it was in my home, and it was birthed purely out of a space of wanting to see a different dance culture and a um, different creative space in Charlotte, and something that looked like what I was used to seeing in other places, but also just what I needed. And so at the time I had small children, and it was me and them, and we lived in Noda, and I wanted a space because I go to all these wonderful parties in other cities, and there are children there, and there are DJs, and people are dancing, and and people are also drinking. They're just being human, like most societies are allowed to do, and children are present in that because they need to be able to see and understand what that looks like. And so I said, all right, I'm gonna have a space in my home, and it's big enough. I'm gonna work with some really wonderful DJs, and I want to create Su Casa. But then at the time, I was working for Creative Loafing, and my boss had become my friend, and he said, like we were starting to, like, cops were being called, people were showing up, it was a lot of people. And so he said, you should take this on the road. And I said, yeah. And so we started to work together. Um, his name is Carlton Hargrove. And so I took it to Dharma, and we sat down with them. And at the time, it was woman owned, which is, in day to day practice, like woman and small business owned is very important to me. And she loved the idea. And so we started there. And at the time, like, there may be 30 people, there may be 40 people. Even in starting Wepa, I mean, it's brand new. So you have to leave behind your ego, you have to leave behind your ego and sometimes your personal attachments, because one of the reasons that I just wanted to be able to like dance and hear music, right? But like the irony is now I'm not able to really do that, but other people are. And so that's freeing, to like leave my ego and say like, this is great, but when I go to this place or I go to this city or I go to even my own city and go to an event and hear, other DJs, like, then that's my time. But right now my time is to host a space as it's grown that will allow other people to have that joy.
So you had to leave your ego behind.
Your ego, and when I say your ego, I don't mean like, oh, I'm an egocentric, like maniac. I mean just the initial purpose was to have space and hold space for myself and others to be able to hear different types of diasporic music and dance. But now that's not my space because the numbers have gotten really big for Su Casa. And so it's not my personal space. It's my space to monitor and make sure that the energy is good and that people are having a good time, that the DJs are happy, and that people are having the same joy that I initially set out to have for myself.
So at the end of it all, to sort of summarize it, it's not all about you.
No, it's not about me at all.
It's not about you.
It's not about me at all.
That is really.
And it's funny because people sometimes would assume like the people that are like, there are amazing people that have been at Su Casa from the beginning, like the first Su Casa in my home, but then like it's so much bigger, so I don't know the people that are there. So I get to hear conversations with other people talking about it, and they don't know, they just see me there. They don't know who I am, or even like the last Su Casa, the DJ that was assisting my resident, he was talking and he didn't know who I was. So he was on the mic and he was saying like, he was making comments like as I would step off to the side to talk to the DJ. He didn't know who I am. I don't care if he knows who I am. I just care that people are there and having fun.
That's excellent. That's beautiful.
It's not mine, it's the community's in that sense, but the grind of it and the 30 people and the losing money and that happened for years. And sometimes people don't realize that. They think like they step into Charlotte and they say like, oh, like this is a good event. Like, oh, like this is a big thing. And I'm like, it's cool. It's great. And I'm grateful for everybody that shows up. And I'm grateful for all of the parts of it. But it took work and it took time and it took years of paying your DJs out of pocket or, not seeing anyone there, even though so many people promised to be there. So, yeah. It takes time. Things take time. And the only way that you can have the patience to allow them to take time is to love every single moment of everything that you're doing and do only the things that make you happy. Not what people tell you to do or not what, someone else is doing. Only your own path. That's the only thing. Be true to thine own self.
Yeah, the axiom still hold. Who said it? To be true to thy own self.
I don't know. You tell me.
To thyself. Oh shoot! It'll come.
Somebody said it, and it's real.
Yeah. To that. Is it Shakespeare? No. Is it Shakespeare? One of those guys.
Sure, one of those.
One of those guys. Hey, wow. So Jasiatic. I got it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jasiatic. So tell me.
We really just met. And I think that's super cool. Like,
okay, let me put you on the spot. What's my name?
Pyrex.
Okay, she got it right.
I got you.
Yeah. Some people find it hard. Some people. Unless I pronounce it well.
That's easy.
She break it down. Okay, let me ask you, Jay. First off, you left your ego behind. It's not all about you. So day in, day out, right? What do you do to see progress? Regardless of what you're doing.
To see progress, you mean not with Su Casa, but in general?
In general, creating Su Casa, creating something just day in, day out.
So, I mean, it's funny because I was just having this conversation with my children who were unschooled. And so I was asking them, like, how do I monitor your progress? Like, how do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, you know, if I'm at my part-time job and I don't do a particular thing, then I get written up.
Mm-hmm.
If you're unschooling, then your only commitment is to your own personal discovery of joy
Mm-hmm.
in the things that you learn. And excuse me. And so as I'm talking to my son about this, I'm also like asking myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so my measure of progress truly is joy day to day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in working hard, and I don't believe in hustle. And it took me a while to get there.
Uh-huh.
So we can hear all the cliches about, like, you know, you are what you believe,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, as a man thinketh or as a woman thinketh. And we can read all the self-help books, right? But like truly you are a manifestation
Mm-hmm.
of your own dreams and desires,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
I can lay and sit and dream up something wonderful. And for me, sometimes that's more productive than getting out and hustling. And I know that's hard to believe, but the thing that I like to remind myself is that if I think about slavery, transatlantic slavery,
Mm-hmm.
or if I think about like the day-to-day janitor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how hard that person must work every day and what they reap at the end of it.
Few couple of dollars here and there.
Yeah, then it doesn't balance for me. So the only measure that I have of my own personal success is my joy. And in saying that, like today, like I have a dinner party that I do with a sister of mine, Kelly Carboni Woods, and it's called Bloom. And we're working on a retreat. And if at the end of the day I haven't committed some time for that to really work through the classes and workshops,
Mm-hmm.
then one, I have to show up to her with nothing. That doesn't feel good to me.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't feel good about it. We don't in turn feel good. You know, if I haven't done the work of it, then it gets into my spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But if it doesn't get into my spirit, then I let it go. So if somebody is like, oh, you know, because there's always a million things that we can be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm super grateful for the space that you hold and that you have such commitment to do it. But I know that you're doing it because you really want to do it. You're not doing it for pay.
Yes, I'm not. My mom was like, "So, how's the meeting going?" And I'm like, "Yo, okay. Let me paint a picture for you." I painted a picture. I'm like, "Okay, so don't ask me again." Because they came to visit me. She was there. She was in the living room when a guest came. I think Jason Jett
Yes.
was the guest, and so she saw two guys come and do a session. So she went back to Virgin and asked me. I'm like, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, you do it for the love.
do it for the love.
Well, we should all be doing things for the love. And it sounds very cliche, but for someone that has operated as a freelance artist for many years with raising my children and, you know, really trying to do everything that I really want to do. So if, you know, if you don't see the productivity, like, where's the recipes? I don't have them, but I have a dinner party for you to come to. You know what I mean? Like, where's the blog? I really want to do that blog, but do I? Because at the end of the day, can I sleep? You know, and if I can sleep without worrying about the blog, then it's not something I really want to do. I'm doing the things I want to do. So I'm productive with the things that I want to be productive with. Like, there's no doubt that during the day, I'm doing so many things that at the end of the day, my feet hurt badly, right? But I've done enough work in my life, meaning like working since I was 14 and jobs and managing and supervising and working and punching clocks. I've done enough work in my life that I'm not really worried about the work of things. I'm only worried about the joy and the passion of it and what's on my heart and what I can't sleep without doing.
Wow, that is excellent. I would say you said you. Oh shoot, I just went blank. Hey.
It's okay. Blank is allowed.
So you were talking about the things you do day in, day out. You measure your progress based on joy. If you feel joyful about what you're doing, or at the end of the day, then you know you were productive.
Yes.
And also, to summarize what you said after you measuring your progress based on joy. I'm going to summarize this. It's like you work, but you work on your desires.
I work on my desires.
Yes.
And when I want to work.
When you want to work.
And when I feel good about working.
Yes.
Yeah.
So ladies and gentlemen, creative people, she works. She doesn't sit there. But she does some things, and everything she does is based on joy.
And sometimes things take, like, I mean, in the beginning, I feel like Su Casa has always been a very word of mouth party. So I know that the work that's been done on a promotional end, like I've seen people, there's parties that I've promoted. So I've been promoting for a very long time, like promoting, but I'm not a promoter. But when I was a teenager, I was working under A&Rs and working and promoting for record labels. And I first became familiar with that when I was in college at NC State. So the first promotional things or materials that I remember seeing was, oh, this is gonna really like date me and tell my age.
Hey.
Was
if you hear the age, just watch the video and you keep quiet.
Was a promo for Wu-Tang's first album.
Okay.
And they were promoting it. They were out promoting it. They were going to be at Club Kamikaze if you are from Raleigh or you know anything about it, which is very close to NC State's campus.
Okay.
And so here are these guys, and they're up on NC State's campus themselves promoting for their first album. We didn't know who Wu-Tang was. They're like passing out stickers and passing out everything, like, come to our show. So, you know, and that's like always stuck with me. It's very beautiful, like the grassroots element of promoting something. And so I got started pretty early, like promoting for record companies and albums and doing that sort of thing. But this is different because, like you said, it's my baby. And so I oftentimes feel like, you know, sometimes you can work, and promote, but the proof is really in the pudding. If you come and you like it, then you'll tell somebody. If you feel like you have to wait until every month till that party happens, then we've done something beautiful, you know? A person can try to convince you all they want, but, you know.
I told this, I sent a test to someone, like, you can walk a horse to the river, but you can't force it to drink.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I guess they all see it and they get there, they are ready to drink.
Yeah.
They just can't wait.
Yeah, if they're ready to drink, then
That's
they
good.
will.
So,
I mean, it's not for everybody. Nothing's for everybody.
Yeah, that's excellent. I'm going to ask you a question, Jay. But before I do, it's going to be the question is going to be about your source of creativity. But before you answer that, I know you have a lot to say, your source of creativity. But before you answer that, let me ask you, what do you got going on? Anything coming up you would like to share? Because if you're in Charlotte, you're probably going to benefit from this, provided of where you are and if you'll be in Charlotte that day or something. So what you got going on now?
So Su Casa happens every single fourth Saturday. So it's not the last Saturday, it's the fourth Saturday. So in the month of August, I think that falls on the 26th. So it falls on the 26th. But Wepa, which is a new party, which the DJs are just encouraged to go deeper into genres. So anything from Afro swing and other London genres, which I'm really interested in, to more traditional music, to bachata, like just to go deeper into those genres, still with the theme of like dance and movement. Okay, so Wepa is changing, and so this is going to be our first month as a day party. Okay. So I'm really excited about that. It's next Sunday, so that's Sunday the 12th. I'm really bad with dates.
Hey. Siri.
Sunday the 12th. And a lot of people have heard Native Son. Native Son and DJ Underdog often come down and play. They're out of DC, but they play all over the world, from Dakar to Cuba to everywhere. And I mean, you know, they're just amazing spirits. Like, that's usually how I decide to work with people. Like, I went to college with Stillwell at NC State. So I've known him. He's always been like, family to me. Justice, always been family. I've known him for very long. Underdog and Native Son, just like bright, super bright lights, and like amazingly talented. So Stillwell is the resident for that party. It's changing to the second Saturday. The second Sunday. It's always on a Sunday, but we're changing to a daytime hours on the second Sunday. It's not in the front, so it's a patio party. So we want to fill the patio up and just have people dancing body to body. And it's going to be from 4 to 8 on August 12th with Native Son.
Native Son. That's excellent.
So if you know what the Su Casa patio feels like and looks like, this is strictly a patio party. You enter through the side entrance. So next Sunday the 12th, everyone should come out.
Sunday the 12th, everyone should come out.
Yes.
That's going to be excellent. I hope I'm off. Hey, we all have day job. I do have a day job. Day job is to sit here. No. Just kidding. So, thanks for sharing that with us. Jasiatic, let me ask you, what is your source of creativity, also?
Oh man, I have so many sources of creativity. But I would say like my biggest source of creativity is just like deep connection. Deep connection with people that are aligned. Again, just that energy thing. Sometimes I am in a lot of social settings, and while I love people, I'm such a one-on-one person. So if I can connect with one person on any particular thing and just like really feel that energy through, I'm always better one-on-one. So if you see me in a crowd and you speak and you're like, she's funny acting again today, it's not. And I don't want to term it as introvert versus extrovert. I just want to say like I'm such a one-on-one connection person, and that gives me so much creativity. I also have such a wonderful community of like sisters that are doing so many great things in the area, out of the area, that are just powerhouses and kindred spirits. That's always, a big source of creativity. And travel is huge. Travel is huge. But I feel like when I'm in alignment, like, and when I am in my own practice of falling in love, like on a daily basis with the things that I'm in experience with, that I can be inspired and with anything. And then there's more tangible things. Like I'm a real magazine person.
Oh.
I'm a very, very visual person. So I'm definitely a magazine person, and I can be a social media person.
Well, you said some great stuff. You get anything out there can sort of inspire you to do what you want to do. And is there anything else you want to say about that? About your source of creativity?
No, I would just like broadly term it as like alignment. So just feeling aligned and being in my now and being in my yes is what then I'm inspired by anything, by the food that I eat, or by looking at a particular thing, or whether it is art or reading. I read a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. That's important for me.
So we are about to wrap up, Jay. And I want to ask you, what do you think about your industry?
Oh, man. Industry being like
the creative industry, what you do, like, what are your views?
So if we're talking about the industry of party promoting,
If that
or
is
if
what you
we're,
choose to talk about.
well, I'll choose to talk about like general, because again, I don't really identify myself as a promoter. So I would say like in the industry of just of outlets for creative people, be
Mm-hmm.
those art shows or
Mm-hmm.
performances um, or parties. In Charlotte, you
Mm-hmm.
mean?
In Charlotte or in general?
In general,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's necessary. Like I think that that it's necessary that we all have parts to play, and that it's very important to stay in a space of humility in terms of those parts that we play and be grateful
Mm-hmm.
for every little thing. Gratitude is so important in this industry, and sometimes like I don't necessarily like you could get online and say like I'm thank you everyone that did, but like but also you can be in a daily and a momentarily like in a moment by moment
Mm-hmm.
practice of being grateful for the things that you have and for the ability
Mm-hmm.
to see art come into fruition.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful for Charlotte in terms of its its shift right now,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a difficult city to be creative in sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and it can be very limiting, and we can get caught up in the spaces that are limiting. But just like anything, I mean, my favorite quote is everywhere you go there you are. It's my all time what I try to remember, because it's easy to run and it's easy to cut off and it's easy to make size, to create size and like say like, oh, I'm only doing this, or I don't like this, or I don't like that. But it's all irrelevant, because the beauty comes in like the diversity of all of it. Not in who you collab with,
Mm-hmm.
not in who you're down with, um, you know, not any of that, but just that it can exist. So like that you can walk through creative areas and see several different parties with people of color that are going on at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a come up for us. And we should embrace that and encourage that and not have to choose so much, but just be in that and be grateful that it's here.
That is really good. That is really good. So Jay, we are about to wrap up, but before we do, I said this the last time.
It's
Before we
okay.
do, tell me, you know what? We are about to gossip.
Okay,
We are
let's
going to
gossip.
gossip. We are going to whine. We are going to criticize. We are going to compliment. We are going to vent. Actually, I'm I'm just gonna sit here and listen. So, any public issue, global issue, celebrity, anything out there, any personal thing you want to compliment, criticize, vent, um, just let it flow.
Okay, so as it pertains to like particular things, I would love for you to ask me about a specific thing, because I
Mm-hmm.
will tell you that I make a practice of, while being in community, staying in a bubble. I've always been that way,
Mm-hmm.
which means that a lot of times I'm very oblivious to pop culture.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm not. So that's why I said if you ask me something specific. But like my day to day are about my small interactions and how they make a difference.
Uh-huh.
So raising children or raising people around me,
Mm-hmm.
or, like sharing and exchanging becomes my most important acts of revolution on a daily basis. So then I vote, and I'm very active with voting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very active with letting people know that that's important.
Mm-hmm.
But like I never listen to news. I'll turn on NPR every now and then.
Mm-hmm.
I never watch TMZ or The Shade Room, or it's just I just don't have time. But if you ask me something specific,
Mm-hmm.
then we can go.
So this is it. Anything specific to you?
Okay, well,
Pick
let's
and
vent
choose.
about call out culture.
All right, let's go. That's a gossip. Bring something up and we will talk about it.
That's like not very specific, but as much as I am completely down for people expressing what their experiences are or how they felt, I have a real problem with call out culture. I have a real problem with us constantly trying to call out everything around us. Because you know why?
Tell me.
Everywhere you go, there you are. Because we're all mirrors of each other. And we're all in transformation. And we're all changing. And we can all make choices. And those who can't make choices, we can do work towards empowering them to make choices instead of call out, call out, call out.
So she's trying to say, stop the call out culture. I didn't say that. I did not say that. She said it.
I'm trying to say there's a way to tell your story without consistently being a victim of everything.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're victims, but
Yeah.
you don't. Sometimes a thing happens to you, but then you have to happen to that thing.
Yeah.
That's the next step. It's like, all right, well, how do I respond?
Yeah. Some people claim the victim torch.
All the time.
Yeah, I'm the victim. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah.
And one thing I know is sometimes when you start blaming someone, you lose your power. Like,
Yeah.
You realize
Every time you lose your power.
you can do something about it. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Anyway.
What else? Stop telling people how they should act or behave, particularly women. How much makeup we should wear, what our clothes should look like. What do you think about that? Talk to me.
Oh, she put me on the spot.
Stop
Okay.
creating memes telling women what they're worth if they... And I'm speaking for women because I'm a woman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
If you're a man and you feel the same way, then you should do it. If you feel like you should rage against whatever system you want to rage against, then you should rage against it.
Well, I'm against all those sort of belittling behavior that people do towards others. It really twists people's brain around and it leaves them very low esteemed, low self-esteemed, you know. Then they're seeking approval. They are beautiful, but the one they look up to or what they think is the main influence of life or to whatever industry they are in, if it's that thing is telling them this is how the standard are supposed to be and they are not up to that standard, guess what? I'm not qualified. I'm not perfect, you know, to be this way. But everybody is unique in their own way. So unless you're acting, then you don't have to be on anybody's standards.
I love that one of your questions was around, or one of the things that you advised was to be yourself, which I thought was really interesting that you had to tell people to be themselves.
Yeah.
But we live in such a space that people aren't comfortable with being themselves. So be yourself. Like, you know, resist all the things that are not your personal narrative. So step outside the gender binary. Like, you don't have to do this particular thing because you are this, or because you're expected to do this, or because your family or tradition says you should do this. Be exactly who you feel you should be, and we will be much better off. I really did not do a good job with gossip. I thought that you would bring something to the table that I could gossip about, but...
Not really gossip. It was just a private conversation. So it was a private conversation. If you are listening or watching, then I guess you're eavesdropping. Yeah, so that was a good one. So stop calling out and don't tell people or ladies or women how they should be and the standards they should
or
live
how
up to.
anyone should be. We can be who we want to be.
Yeah.
We say that kind of stuff all the time, but we don't mean it.
You know?
No, we say, like, you know, be yourself, be whatever you want to be, and then I have to have a conversation around, like, trans acceptance. I don't understand why we're having this conversation. You just said people can be who they want to be. Why do I have to explain to you? Why do I have... Yeah. Pet peeves.
I feel on that. So, creative people, this is your host, Pyric, and today's guest is Jasiatic.
Good job.
Jasiatic, yeah. So we are about to wrap up, and I've said it the third time. So let me ask you, this is the final one. What do you wish you knew when you were starting?
I'm sitting here trying to figure out when I was starting.
Okay. Wow. You're sitting here trying to figure out when you were starting. I'm trying to digest that.
I don't know when I started.
You don't know what okay, let me I feel yeah, that is deep, and I can see it from so many dimensions.
If we're
like
talking about creativity, if
creativity,
we're talking about
yes.
Su Casa,
I would say let's put Su Casa on the table now.
okay.
So
Ask for what you want. You can ask for what you want, no matter what it is, no matter how wild it is, no matter how preposterous it is. And some people know that, and they do it, you know. And it's a lesson I'm still learning, to literally ask for exactly what you can have, exactly what you want. So you can have the event that you want in the space that you want. You can have your artwork where you want it. I mean, you go to some of these like really big art shows or some museums, and you're like, so what's the difference in that or the work that you create?
yeah.
They ask the right questions. They talk to the right people, whatever that is. They were seen by the right people that were inspired by it and made a move. So be audacious enough to step into your truth and see it manifesting in the biggest, most beautiful, brilliant way.
That is, yeah, I just got an idea. Like, come to think of it, things can happen. Things do happen. So when you want something, you desire something, and you start working towards it, you're asking for it and you're doing something. So you're going to definitely get it unless you quit.
Absolutely. You're gonna get it.
Yes.
If you dream big enough, you'll get exactly that thing.
Yeah.
Whatever that thing is.
I was listening to this audiobook and I'm picking something out of it. I'm not going to say verbatim what it was, but it
Will
says
you
something.
say what book it was?
I think on Grow Rich, but it's a summary by Earl Nightingale.
So it's a summary of the book.
Yeah, the summary of the book. So he said something that the things that we desire, if we weren't capable of achieving them, we wouldn't have that desire.
Absolutely.
So if you feel the desire, there is a way to get it or get part of it or be a part of what you're desiring. You may want
because you would never be able to create the thought if it wasn't already there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. Ask for what you want, and you
from
get
yourself.
From yourself.
Or whatever you ask from, whatever your source is.
That's excellent. So Jasiatic or JJJ, how can people find you? Where should they look for you at?
I am most active on Instagram. So my main page is Jasiatic Anderson. So that's JASIATIC. Jasiatic Anderson. I'm most active on that page. If they want to know about Su Casa events, the page is Su Casa Charlotte. I also have various pages for food work and for my photography that I don't really update much, but it's there. If you type in Jasiatic, you should be able to find most things.
Yeah. Google her. Or you can check the description. You're going to find a link that will lead you to her Instagram page. Can I say Jasiatic? Oh, I just did. Jasiatic. Anyway, yeah, I was so tempted. I couldn't help it. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. I really appreciate you coming through. Thanks a lot. I've heard good stuff about you, and it's an honor to have you here.
The pleasure was all mine.
Yeah. So, creative people, I was your host, Pyric, and today's guest was, or is still here. Her name is Jasiatic, and she is an independent, creative, multi-genre artist.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. It was a pleasure.